What I'm about to tell you is going to make you very angry, and it should. It turns out that while people in Texas were literally drowning, FEMA couldn't deploy search and rescue teams because they needed permission from one person before they could do that, and she was off for the weekend. Let's back up for a second. As you know, last week, catastrophic floods hit central Texas. Waters rose 23 feet in under an hour. 120 people died, including children at a summer camp. 160 people are still missing. This was a disaster where every second counted. But here's what's so enraging. So FEMA officials were ready to deploy urban search and rescue teams. The people highly trained to save lives in floods, but they couldn't. Why? Because Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem created a new rule to save money that every contract over $100,000 needed her personal sign-off before funds can be released. Of course, $100,000 is basically pennies when you're talking about emergency response, so it means FEMA needs to get her approval for everything. This rule basically stripped them of their autonomy right when people needed them the most. So while under-resourced Texas rescue crews are racing to save lives, FEMA's hands are tied because it's a weekend and they can't get Kristi Noem's approval until Monday, more than 72 hours after the flooding began. Texas also requested aerial imagery from FEMA to help with search and rescue, and guess what? They couldn't get that either because, once again, Noem had to approve that contract. Even disaster call centers had longer wait times because they couldn't hire additional staff without her sign-off. This is all part of Trump's plan to eventually phase out FEMA and make states handle disasters by themselves. But here's what's wild. Trump just signed his big, brutal bill into law, which gives massive tax cuts to the richest people in the country, so apparently there's enough money for that. We're cutting disaster response to save pennies while giving Jeff Bezos another yacht, or maybe his next wedding. It's almost like we're prioritizing tax cuts for the wealthy over saving lives in an emergency. It's not almost like, in fact, it's exactly what's happening, and it's the Trump administration's philosophy in a nutshell. It's also going to get more people killed. So remember, elections have consequences, and sometimes, yeah, they're deadly.